Sophia? Sophie? Okay. Oh, wait, please.
So I'll give that to you when you go up, but you're not going up for a while. So, but you're just sitting.
Let's just everyone sit beside you.
So you can sit up there, and I'll give you the iPad. No, you're sitting up there, and then I'll call you when you speak. So when you speak here? No. This is just the sound system.
This one.
So everyone's sitting up there together.
Sorry, I'm stepping in. How many people are on? One. The other one is over now. It's a new event. Yeah, it should be here.
No, it's HDMI.
It is here. HDMI is here. I saw USB. Okay. So,
Okay, you're probably gonna have to go to the settings, the audio settings.
Oh, it's fine. I'll get
impact assessment, measuring the impact of the SDGs on young people, looking at a reporting platform. For all of us, monitoring and reporting on the Sustainable Development Goals has become a really big priority. Of course, we have the SDG targets and indicators at national levels, but national level indicators don't always translate to local. So UN Habitat has, in collaboration with other UN agencies, has developed what is called the Urban Monitoring Framework. It has been adopted by the Statistical Commission. And this really includes all the indicators that you can measure at the bottom up, from the bottom up to assess how well we are doing on the SDGs. This scorecard is perfectly dovetailed into the urban monitoring framework. It's really about collecting quantitative data, but also qualitative data and experiential data, illustrations of examples and case studies, the evidence you need to inform policy. That is really what this whole initiative is about. The pilot has been very exciting, and I hope we'll have a chance to scale it up. I hope that we'll have a chance to work with each one of you and your networks and your communities, because really we can't expect to make transformative change without young people, not in the room, but in the driving seat. Thanks very much, colleagues, and enjoy the session. Yeah.
Taylor.
Oh, there you are.
All right. Actually, we're looking for Joyati next. Joyati, we would like to welcome you to the stage to give a brief introduction as well. Joyati is our director for the Healthy Cities for Adolescents and Foundation Partner Program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Shipra. That was an excellent introduction. I don't think I need to add much, but I just want to commend the work that our young people have done on the ground in 6 countries. I just want to say that it was just a fantastic opportunity to partner with UN Habitat, design this Youth 2030 project together, launch it in the 6 countries, which are Fundesio partner countries, as a starting phase. And we absolutely are just delighted to see the outcomes of this investment we have made as partners. Critical and central to Youth 2030 initiative is the philosophy of citizen voice and action, and of self-determination of young people. So youth action in strengthening governance in cities, localizing global solutions, ensuring these solutions are fit for context and purpose in your cities. That's the goal of Youth 2030. Just quickly, that through this initiative, we want to create an enabling environment for young people and promote equitable partnerships with you all. This is an important constituency. Young people are an important voice in their cities, and so we want to ensure you are definitely not left behind. We also want to ensure a balanced approach to dialogue and conversations, enhancing young people's role and capacities, and I believe that's exactly what you've been doing as social leaders in your cities through this project, shaping the cities you want to live in, offering innovative solutions to achieve SDGs at the local level, as Shipra has alluded. The aim is to enhance young people's knowledge about global frameworks, and that is being one of the issues, that a lot of young people want to do innovative work, bring ideas, solutions, perspectives, insights, but they really don't know what is the global discourse going on and how their ideas fit in and align. So this is an initiative that is about familiarizing young people, youth, on city planning, budgeting processes, getting them to map critical issues, gaps, and potential solutions for sustainable urban development. We look forward to hearing from you all, pulling the DeclarACTIONS together, all this amazing hard work last 6 months. So I also welcome Honorary Minister from Ecuador. And I hand over to
Taylor.
Taylor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joyati. So like Joyati said, in order to start establishing and really implement our youth urban-led programming, we need connections, we need relationships, not only between different youth organizations, but also with local government. It's so important to get youth involved in not only local government, but decision-making in their local communities, as they are the ones that know best their local realities. So we are very pleased today to be able to introduce the Vice Minister Gabriela from Ecuador, who is here today from the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing. And she's going to give a couple of words because I know she also has to leave soon. And then after that, we'll get to hear from our brilliant youth representatives about their different projects in their different countries. So thank you very much, Gabriela. And we're going to do a little bit of translation as well.
Thank you, Taylor. Good afternoon to everyone. Reciban un cordial saludo de todos quienes hacemos el gobierno nacional del Ecuador. Estamos muy felices de compartir con ustedes, gracias a la invitación de ONU Habitat y gracias a la invitación de Juventudes 2030. Creo que lo que ha dicho en un inicio mis compañeras es muy importante y voy a empezar por eso, no estaba previsto, pero creo que realmente en las manos de quienes estamos en la actualidad haciendo la administración o la gestión pública desde el gobierno nacional, es muy importante tomar conciencia que todas nuestras acciones o decisiones están encaminadas a dejar un mundo mejor para nuestros hijos, un mundo mejor para la juventud. Y creo que eso es lo más importante, tener la conciencia de poder llegar a tener ciudades en donde estén localizados los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible, precisamente para poder multiplicar los impactos en beneficio de las futuras generaciones.
Yes, no, I can hear them. Thank you.
Okay.
So yes, absolutely. So the Vice Minister wanted to say thank you very much on behalf of the Ecuadorian government, on behalf of MIDUVI, the Ministry of Urban Development, Urban Development and Housing. They're very excited to be here today and very excited to have been invited on behalf of Youth 2030 Cities, the Foundation Botner Initiative. And I'll go ahead and hand it back over.
So, vamos con la presentación, ¿verdad? Está lista.
Taylor, you took the presentation off. We can't find it.
We're going to have some technical assistance right there.
Consideramos muy importante desde la desde nuestro ministerio el participar en todos estos eventos que nos permitan un intercambio y un fortalecimiento de capacidades entre países de la región. Entonces, a continuación vamos a ver cómo está la localización de los ODS y la nueva agenda urbana dentro de nuestro país. Siguiente, por favor. Para dar inicio a esta presentación, creo que es importante recalcar la importancia que tiene el marco jurídico en nuestro país. En su Constitución reconoce el derecho de las personas a un hábitat seguro, saludable y a una vivienda adecuada y digna, con independencia a su situación social y económica. También reconoce el derecho a la ciudad y el disfrute pleno de la misma, bajo principios de sostenibilidad, justicia social, respeto a las diferencias culturales, urbanas y equilibrio entre lo urbano y lo rural.
Right. First, I would like to begin by emphasizing the fact that the Ecuadorian Constitution recognizes that people's right to a safe and healthy environment and to adequate and dignified housing, regardless of their health, or social situation, it also recognizes the fact that the city and the full enjoyment of it under the principles of sustainability, social justice, equity, and balance between urban and rural areas.
Next, please. En esta línea, el Ministerio de Desarrollo Urbano y Vivienda del Ecuador impulsa una transformación que va de la mano de una nueva visión de la gestión pública, que implica asumir una concepción integral del territorio, donde se concentran las políticas y estrategias orientadas a lograr ciudades y comunidades inclusivas, resilientes, seguras y sostenibles. En este marco y con esta nueva visión, se construye el Plan Nacional de Hábitat y Vivienda, que incluye diversas estrategias que plantean frente a los diversos desafíos que se presentan dentro de las ciudades y comunidades del país.
In this regard, the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing of Ecuador is promoting a transformation. It implies assuming an integral conception of the territory where policies and strategies aimed at achieving inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable cities and communities. Within this framework and with the new vision, the National Habitat and Housing Plan is being developed, which includes several strategies that address the various challenges that arise in the country's cities and communities.
Siguiente, por favor. Somos conscientes que el planeta requiere acciones frente a la crisis climática. Los últimos informes sobre cambio climático nos alertan respecto a los escasos avances que se ha logrado para el compromiso asumido mediante el Acuerdo de París. En este contexto, hemos asumido el liderazgo para impulsar el desarrollo urbano sostenible en nuestro país en el marco de la Agenda 2030. Reconocemos la relevancia de los foros urbanos nacionales que representan importantes plataformas de participación de diversos actores implicados en el desarrollo urbano sostenible. Durante el 2021, el Ministerio de Desarrollo Urbano y Vivienda desarrolló en el mes de octubre el foro urbano Encontrémonos por el Hábitat y la Vivienda. Este espacio de diálogo e intercambio dio lugar al lanzamiento de la primera convocatoria del Premio Hábitat Ecuador.
We are aware that the planet requires urgent action in the face of climate crisis. The latest reports of climate change alert us to the limited progress that has been made in fulfilling the commitments made in the Paris Agreement. In this context, we have taken the lead in promoting sustainable urban development in the country within the 2030 Agenda framework. We recognize the relevance of national urban forums that represent important platforms for the participation of various actors involved in urban development. In 2021, the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing had the Urban Forum Encontrémonos por el Hábitat. This space for dialogue and exchange led to the launch of the first call for el Premio de Hábitat Ecuador.
Siguiente, por favor. El Premio Hábitat de Ecuador es una iniciativa liderada por el Ministerio de Desarrollo Urbano y Vivienda, en conjunto con el Ministerio del Ambiente, Agua y Transición Ecológica, el Ministerio de Economía y Finanzas y el Banco de Desarrollo del Ecuador, con la asistencia técnica de la Cooperación Técnica Alemana GIZ y ONU Habitat, que tiene por objetivo promover el desarrollo urbano sostenible mediante la formulación e implementación de proyectos que contribuyan, por una parte, al cumplimiento de la Agenda de Hábitat Sostenible del Ecuador 2036 y por otra, con las metas de la contribución determinada a nivel nacional, aportando así a la recuperación verde en nuestra ciudad.
Premio Hábitat Ecuador is an initiative led by the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing in conjunction with the Ministry of Environment, Water, and Ecological Transition and the Ministry of Economy and Finance and the Development Bank of Ecuador, with technical assistance from the German Technical Cooperation, GIZ, and the UN Habitat. The objective is to promote sustainable and urban development through the formulation and implementation of projects that contribute to the one-on-one to the fulfillment of the Ecuador Sustainable Habitat Agenda, and on the other hand, to the goals of the nationally determined contributions to contribute to the green recovery of cities.
Siguiente, por favor. El Premio Hábitat Ecuador es la primera convocatoria a nivel nacional a los 221 GATS, gobiernos locales, gobiernos autónomos descentralizados y metropolitanos, para un concurso de proyectos urbanos con enfoque a cambio climático.
Premio Hábitat Ecuador is the first national call for urban projects aimed at Ecuador's 221 municipalities. It promotes the implementation of sustainable urban development projects in 3 categories. 1, habitat and territory. 2, climate change and resource management. 3, green recovery, land use, and management.
Siguiente, por favor. Existen 3 categorías que fueron diseñadas precisamente para contribuir a este desarrollo urbano sostenible en nuestro país. La primera, hábitat y territorio. La segunda, la categoría de cambio climático. Y la tercera, la categoría de recuperación verde y uso y gestión del suelo. Siguiente, por favor. Los municipios ganadores en cada una de las categorías del Premio Hábitat de Ecuador serán acreedores a incentivos en asistencia técnica a entregarse gracias a la cooperación técnica alemana GIZ, con el objetivo de fortalecer las capacidades entre los municipios para la formulación de proyectos que fomenten desarrollo urbano sostenible. Adicionalmente, los proyectos ganadores serán integrados en la plataforma Cities Investment Advisor Platform de ONU Habitat y presentados en el Foro Urbano Mundial en Polonia en junio del 2022, que se realizará en este año.
The winners in each of these categories, the Premio Hábitat Ecuador, will receive the incentives and technical assistance to be delivered by the German Technical Cooperation to strengthen municipal capacities and formulate projects that promote sustainable urban development. Additionally, the winning projects will be integrated into UN Habitat's City Investment Advisory Platform and presented at the World Urban Forum to be held in Poland in June of this year.
El lanzamiento del Premio Hábitat, como les comenté anteriormente, se realizó durante el Foro Urbano Encontrémonos por el Hábitat. El periodo de postulación estuvo abierto hasta el 28 de enero del 2022. La etapa de elegibilidad estuvo abierta, se realizó entre el MIDUBI y la GIZ y tuvo lugar desde el 28 de enero hasta el 4 de febrero del presente año. A continuación se desarrolló la etapa de selección el 13 de febrero del mismo año y la etapa de entrevistas que se realizaron durante 3 días del 15 al 17 de febrero de este año. La declaración de ganadores se realizó en el Día Nacional de la Lucha del Frente Climático, el 21 de febrero del 2022.
The launch of Premio Hábitat Ecuador, as I mentioned earlier, took place during the Urban Forum Encontrémonos por el Hábitat in October 20th of 2021. The nomination period was open until January 28th, 2022. The eligibility stage was a process carried out between MIDUBI and GIZ that took place from January 28th to February 4th of this year. The next step was a selection stage from February 4th to the 13th and an interview stage from February 15th to the 17th. Winners were declared by the National Day of Combating Climate Change on February 21st, 2022.
Siguiente, por favor. Las sesiones informativas para la postulación se realizaron conjuntamente con reuniones con los equipos técnicos de los GATS municipales con el objetivo de brindar apoyo para que las propuestas fueran enviadas de forma correcta. Cabe también mencionar que el apoyo tuvimos desde el territorio a través de las oficinas técnicas del MIDUBI y a través de sus subsecretarías, que desempeñaron un importante rol motivando a las autoridades municipales a participar con sus proyectos.
From the beginning, several spaces for information were created so that the country's municipalities could learn about and tell and call terms. And during the few months, several virtual seminars were held as well as meetings with the team of municipal governments to ensure that the proposals were sent correctly. It is also worth mentioning that the support we received from MIDUBI, technical offices and territory, which played an important role in motivating the municipal authorities to participate in the call.
El apoyo de la GIZ, sumado al compromiso del Ministerio de Desarrollo Urbano y Vivienda, dieron como resultado 150 proyectos registrados a través de la página web del Premio Hábitat. Recibimos postulaciones de 20 de las 24 provincias del país, de 4 de sus regiones. Estaba esta convocatoria determinada y nos permitió identificar dificultades y limitaciones actuales a los GATS municipales y reconocer la necesidad de promover procesos que fortalezcan las capacidades locales. De allí que las 150 postulaciones registradas, 8 pasaron a la etapa de evaluación y 3 fueron las ganadoras.
The support from HACETA added the commitments of the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing and the Ministry, The support from HACETA added to the commitment of the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing, the Ministry of Environment, Water and Ecological Transition, the Ministry of Economy, Finance and Development Bank of Ecuador were some of the key achievements to a result of 150 entries registered through the Premio Habitat Ecuador website. We received applications from 20 of the country's 24 provinces. This call allowed us to identify current difficulties and limitations of municipal governments to recognize the need to promote processes that strengthen local capacities. And I think this is actually a great time considering that you saw some of the challenges through these 24 provinces and all of these applications. Maybe some questions from Douglas in regard to these local challenges.
Yes, and Vice Minister, thank you so much. I mean, it's been an excellent presentation, and we were also really excited to have the Minister speak this morning. We know that Ecuador's support of young people has been critical to the Youth 2030 process. And what I'd like to do is maybe open it up to some of the young people speaking on some of the programs and projects they're doing, and then come back and engage you and more in the conversation. So I'm wondering if one of you can maybe speak a bit more specifically about what is going on in Ecuador and what's happening in Quito. I think that would be really valuable.
Great. Yeah, Sophie, I think that would be a great time for you to also talk about some of the challenges facing your local community as well, and then we can mix in.
And actually, one of the things that could actually, Taylor, where are we? Here's Taylor. Could you put the video up now?
Yeah.
Why do we put the video up now? Why don't we put the video up and then we can go into your.
That's okay, I'm gonna stay right here.
Okay, thanks.
That way
Well,
we can look at the presentation
Speak
better.
a bit to the video because it's.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's wait for the video and then we'll do that. And asking Taylor, Tech Queen. And then go.
So meanwhile, I'm going to show you a little bit part of a documentary that we created in Guayaquil in Ecuador. That shows pretty much how it's called Faces and Realities of the Venezuelan people in Ecuador. So that way we can just share and know them a little bit more.
Trying to plug something in here and it's testing us.
No worries.
We'll get to it. Wow. Okay. Is there a way to?
Why, we can't seem to. Well, can't seem to get the video up. Why don't you start?
Let's see. That's right.
Okay, and so can you please play the presentation then? that would be. Well, anyways, I'm gonna start telling you and sharing with you what from Diálogo Diverso in Quito and Cuenca in Ecuador what we do. Let's see the presentation. And well, first, we are the first organization in Ecuador that promotes the rights of LGBTQ people, migrants, and refugees in Ecuador. We have been working since 2018. Until right now, we have attended more than 25,000 people in Ecuador. Yeah, that's our presentation. Please, next. So, well, we were created in 2018, and thanks to the work of advocates who believe in an egalitarian society. Actually, Diálogo Diverso was created for people that were activists, LGBTQ plus activists, and well, with no money, with no resources, and in order to change a little bit the society. Our mission is that we are a non-governmental, non-profit organization that defends and promotes democracy, the rights of the LGBTQ population, women, and other vulnerable groups. And our vision is that we will be the organization with the greatest impact and results in the defense and promotion of rights at the national level with international projection. Please next. I'm going to explain you about the lines of work. We have 4 lines of work. The first one is rights of LGBTQ people. The second one is participatory democracy. The third one is gender. And last one, innovation and entrepreneurship. In rights of LGBTQ people, we have our program that is called My Home Away from Home, where we take care of migrants and refugee LGBTQ people in order to give them legal assistance, psychological assistance, medical assistance, in order to create an integration for them into the society. We have been working before in 4 cities in Ecuador. Right now we are in 2 cities in Ecuador. We also work in the participatory democracy. We promote the transparency in public and private management and prevention of corruption as a form of violence, because we think that corruption is also a form of violence against human rights to especially vulnerable people. In gender, we have a program that is called It Happened to Me Too program in order to prevent violence in public space against girls and women. And we also are part of the Open Government Partnership in Ecuador. And finally, in innovation and entrepreneurship, we have a pro-diversity entrepreneurship school. And we also promote safe place for diversity and also in the workplace, in the private sphere. Please, next. Well, as I was telling you, this is the map of Ecuador, and we are working in the capital of Ecuador, which is Quito, and also in Cuenca, in the south part of the country. Next. Okay, so in My Home Away from Home, as you can see, that's pretty much what we do. We have been served more than 25,000 people. We give comprehensive care for LGBTQ people with legal advice, psychological assistance, and medical advice. We also give training for public sector workers. As for example, right here we are giving a workshop to the health minister in Quito. We also have been working with integration activities for migrant, refugee, and also host population. Like for example, we have created some murals together. We have been doing some events, for example, in the COVID-19. We also create some events online to commemorate the Pride, for example, and it was very, very interesting. We have also do socioeconomic integration for migrants and refugees. We have created the first investigation about LGBTQ people, migrants, and refugees in Ecuador. We have some investigation about, for example, people that live in Quito, people that live in Cuenca, in Guayaquil, for example, how is for LGBTQ people that is doing sex work, for example, and how is life for them. And we also have created some investigation to know and to have a diagnosis about this population. And also we do some awareness, and also we think that edu-communication is very important in order to change minds. Next. As part of some integration events, for example, with the support of UN Habitat in 2020, we have created these 2 murals. As you can see, the first one right there, it's called Faces of COVID-19, and the last one right here is called Trans Memories. So they were created in the commemoration of World Cities Days. And well, as you can see in the first picture, We wanted to show all diversity. We wanted to show and also empowerment the public space in order to make our voice heard. And also in the last one, it was painted in November 2020. And in November, we commemorated the penalization of the homosexuality in Ecuador. So it was pretty much also to give a good message about integration, and also even though the penalization was 25 years old, we still live discrimination. So we created that to give a message. Yeah, cool. So also, we in the Urban Youth Declaration in the Youth 230 cities, as a young people, we have some workshops, we have forum, we also have the opportunity to talk with youth leaders from different parts of the city in Quito, Ecuador, and we talk about some topics that are very 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 important for us. So, for example, in the environment, we have seen that we are sacrificing fauna for established monocultures. We are forcing the environment to adapt to human activities, and also exchanging the natural terrain also for human activities. So that's a critical point that we have to work. In the economic growth, we also have seen that we have a lack of prior education and job training. We don't have awareness. We don't have financial education with the educational institution. We have limited work access, lack of social, financial, and government support. And also in the part of gender, LGBTQ people, and diversity, as I have said before also, we've seen that we still live discrimination and violence in the public space, in the private, in our families, in education, in work, in health, and that we don't have representation in decision making space. We also see that there's a reproduction of gender stereotypes that also put men above women. We have seen also that there's still a maintenance of the cultural rape. For example, for lesbian women, their families, sometimes their friends, think that they're gonna change them in order to, become heterosexual. So we have seen that also in these cases. Also, in media is very important because media also is reproducing these stereotypes against the LGBTQ community. So I think, we think that media is also an important topic to talk about. In the lines of migration and people in situation of human mobility, we have seen that also there's problems with the regularization of migrant policies and visibility. We live discrimination and xenophobia against Venezuelan people, especially in Ecuador, because we have a lot of Venezuelan people living there. There's a lack of tolerance policies, a lack of construction of economic, social, and cultural knowledge. And also, and finally, in youth governance, we don't have participation. There's a lack of youth representation in local governments, a lack of public and private partnerships, adult-centrism, and lack of young leadership in this topic. So, with this situation, with this context, please next. We have created this declaration, and we have some recommendation and action, especially to these groups of the society that we think are important. Also, to make visible our problems and to find solution in order to create a better society and have a better world. Also, it is important to recommend, especially to young people, that we have to create more youth forums and community space like this, for example, or to other local spaces, in order to make our voice heard. We also have to implement subjects that generate knowledge and problems of human mobility. We have to contribute to democratic and intersectional construction of public policy, and also we have to have the initiative to work to make us heard. We also recommend to the national government to implement reforestation programs, public policy with gender focus, gender migration regularization, recognize Venezuelan people as part of the country also, and welcome this proposal and contribution in order to create better laws, and for example, the organic law YOP. And also, we recommend to the local government to develop diverse and sustainable cities, a strong protection system in relation to young people, implement programs graduated by the national government without political bias. To the United Nations Agency, we recommend to ensure projects to have a gender focus and to create awareness campaigns and to promote a space for youth inclusion, creation, action plans for national government. To the intergovernmental organizations, we also recommend to create spaces of dialogue, promote education and social knowledge at the global level. It is important also to have a work for the civil society, and we think that it's important for us to provide environmental education, have an active participation in dialogue about inclusion, about diversity, to make visible issues of individual rights, and also be aware of the origin of products and services consumed. We also think that the private sector has a good part and a good job to do. They can invest, for example, in reforestation. They can invest in social work projects and implement social co-responsibility policy and training employees. For example, from Dialogue Diverso, we are creating the certification for safe place in job and work environment in order to create safe spaces for LGBTQ people in this in entrepreneurship. And well, that's what we talk about pretty much during this forum in Youth 2030 Cities. And we also think that with doing all of this, we are gonna create and build a more inclusive and sustainable city and communities. And it is important to call the government, the national government, the local government, UN agency, civil society, academia, also media, in order to work together to create a better society. As you can see, this is the picture of the forum that we had in Quito, Ecuador. We enjoy it very much. We have a good time. We have not only the opportunity to talk about all these issues, but also creating some message or some reflections about what we are facing during this time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just as you can go into the back, you can see the Urban Declaration on for young people. It was an amazing event. There was almost over 100 people in Quito. But what we did as well, and unfortunately, due to COVID and many reasons, we weren't able to bring the indigenous community we also worked with. We split it in two. So we did Quito, which we did kind of the metropolitan and urban population, but then we also did Otavalo. And what's really exciting is because one hand, sometimes you think, oh, Quito, it's the advanced metropolis that it is and so on, but it's actually in Otavalo where only 4 days ago, the community came, the young people plus community elders came together, presented this to the mayor of Otavalo, and they signed it. So this is kind of showing the kind of how this movement forward. I mean, for us, the biggest thing, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the indigenous community, but nonetheless, the biggest thing that we've seen is the incredible diversity that young people bring together. So I mean, it truly was awe-inspiring, especially there. And so I would really encourage you to read these declarations. Also in this morning, and unfortunately because of the UCLG and the mayor's conference and stuff, but this morning, Joyati was here and was able to briefly present that we had the Minister of Urbanization here from Ecuador, who is extremely keen to speak to everyone, speak to Fondación Butner, speak to all this because they're very, very supportive. They're going to be opening up an office in Quito. They'd like Youth 2030 to be kind of one of the core programs for that, as well as our SDG Cities program. And then the Vice Minister was here as well. I mean, it was amazing to see that and see the support. So Vice Minister, we're so excited by the partnership that you've offered us. And the Mayor of Quito was also here. I think As we know, this is a pilot project. We're kind of moving forward and feeling where we can go, but we can see a pretty clear pathway of how young people can take local action and move it to international. But one of the other amazing programs that we have, we're going to still stay in the region, is in Despacio in Cali. And I'd like to invite you up to come and speak a bit on that as well. We also have a video. Do we have the video ready?
Yep.
Okay, why don't we play the video, please? And then we can come to you.
Our world is a place of contradictions.
If we believe it's
It is made up of great beauty and diversity, yet also horror and sadness. To assure our planet survives and thrives in the coming decade, we must act now, together as one. Those who can lead must do so. Youth 2030 Cities. In September of 2019, the UN Secretary General called on the world to mobilize for a decade of action on 3 levels: global, local, and people action, using the Sustainable Development Goals adopted in 2015 by the world's leaders. The world responded. Youth responded. Youth 2030 Cities is a partnership between UN Habitat, Foundation Botner, youth, and local government. Youth 2030 has engaged youth from 6 countries who are part of the Healthy Cities for Adolescents program. The goal is to demonstrate how youth can take local action and have global impact, using the Sustainable Development Goals as a measuring stick. This is the story of 5 of these projects in 4 countries, in those youth and cities. In Cali, Colombia, Youth 2030 engaged Despacio and the Vivo Mi Calle project to explore how youth are engaging local government and driving sustainable urbanization.
Sería ayudar a todas las mujeres, chicas y adolescentes que ellas no se sientan acosadas en el barrio. Me gustaría que no se sientan acosadas ni en el puente, ni en el aula, ni en el resto del barrio, con la comunidad. Mi misión sería que todas las mujeres y chicas se sientan libres y seguras en mi celular, en el barrio, en el aula, en cualquier lugar de la ciudad.
Puente de Colores program represents a critical space for youth and promotes peace and community cohesion. In Thea, Senegal, Youth 2030 engaged Nutrition International in Fort de la Future. Fort de la Future involves youth-partnered collaboration to address issues of nutrition and sexual and reproductive health and human rights. Over 100 young people from Senegal came together to develop a declaration and commit to focusing on the implementation of the SDGs by 2030. In Otavalo, Ecuador, indigenous youth focus on the needs to assure that their language and culture are not lost, taking the best of what cities provide in education and job opportunities and cultural revival.
Porque realmente para nosotros como runas, como quichuas, también llamar a la reflexión de que sí debemos aprender primero lo nuestro. Tenemos que ser respetuosos del legado de nuestros abuelos, de nuestras abuelas, que con mucho orgullo ellos hablaron el quichua shimi, pero que a veces por cuestiones de la vida, de nuestros padres, del racismo, del sufrimiento que ellos vivieron, ellos no nos enseñaron a nosotros. Pero ahora nosotros ya estamos grandes y para decir ahora primero aprendo lo nuestro, ¿no es cierto? Y no estamos a destiempo. Yo creo que en este año pues la ONU declaró el diseño de las lenguas a nivel del mundo. Entonces eso quiere decir de que nosotros pues si no sabemos hablar no es tarde, aprendamos.
In Quito, Ecuador, our local partners Diálogo Diverso provides resources and safety for LGBTQIA members, as well as migrants and refugees. Last year, they painted the COVID-19 mural, which depicts an array of unique Ecuadorian faces. The project aims to make public spaces safer and more inclusive while advocating for the use of masks.
La equidad y justicia es importante como articular, tener acciones encaminadas a lograr acciones concretas, pero que van encaminadas de más de un ODS.
Youth in Ghana expressed a strong concern for the deterioration of their urban environment. The group, Young Reporters for the Environment, identified clean water and sanitation as 2 of the major issues facing urban youth in the country. In each of these cities, youth learned how to localize the Sustainable Development Goals and implement the new urban agenda. Through these trainings and conversations with local government,
We see how youth are paving the way to a future that is more sustainable, safe, resilient, and prosperous for everyone. Youth 2030 Cities proves that when youth are given a voice, change can be made. Youth 2030 Cities, a UN Habitat and Foundation Botner initiative.
So, thanks to the team, we are working with Create 2030, who is a artist team who is helping us with the video and the communications here today. So big thanks to them. I just wanted to pick out 3 parts to what we just saw. Number 1, as you'll hear as we continue forward, that not only are the partners on the ground able to do these amazing conferences which come up with these declarations, they also are in themselves promising and best practices. So I encourage you to go back and see our exhibition back there and scan the QR code. And if you don't know how to scan a QR code, please jump, and I'm sure someone younger will teach you how. But if you've been to a restaurant in the last 2 years, you'll know how to scan a barcode. But nonetheless, scan the barcode. We try to be paperless as possible, but go there, scan the barcode, and learn more. So, I mean, you'll hear more from Cali, and I mentioned this in Cali, I'm sure blushes all the time, because I mentioned them as the perfect example of Puente de Colores, the Bridge of Colors, which literally represents both realistically, but as well as real time, but as well as symbolically, the bridge between the young people, their community, the challenges they face, which at the time before Puente de Colores was the gangs and the violence, and then their ability to transform and hold that path. So this is super exciting, and that's just one example. As you can see from where's the banner on that one? Oh, here, isn't it? What's the numbers? Anyways, the numbers, I think you'll see that just within 4 months, we were able to collect 200 different stories. And then Olga Cipollina, who is our UNV, did an amazing process, and we were able to collect those. And that is going to come out in the compendium. And as we're showing with the videos and all these different kinds of things, it's not going to just be that book that you can hand and put on your coffee table. It's actually going to be multimedia. And you'll see if you see our Twitter feed, just cranking through of all the stories and links and so on. So that's another aspect. Just 2 other aspects that I think are really interesting. You saw a lot in the indigenous community. Again, sorry they're not here. One of the fascinating things they translated the SDGs into Quechua of that region. So again, really exciting. Last piece that we'll mention, you'll be mentioned a bit further along, is the use of technology and the Sdg Scorecard, which we now have piloted in Ghana, across Kenya, and different places to get it to work right. And that really is, as Shipper mentioned at the beginning, kind of the grist to the mill. It's really holding, not just holding local governments' feet to the fire, but actually giving us the ability to speak and dialogue with them in a way that makes young people really strong and true citizens. But I'm talking too much. Let's now hear more about Viva Mi Calle and what they're doing.
Thank you. Hello everybody. I am Michelle Zuluaga from Cali, Colombia. I'm a young woman, 26 years old. I am part of the team who is based in Cali, executed the project. I'm working with the guys, and they came too because of the visa things and the limits of the. Then I'm going to talk about the challenges then. Can you move, please? Nice. Okay. Then the main goal is to improve the well-being of adolescents to 10 to 15 years. If you have relatives, it's a quite difficult life cycle of life, and they don't have attention sometimes, and it's extremely they are extremely creative. Yes, so thinking about them through their active participation in the creation of public spaces and roads to foster their rights to healthy cities, and it has like a companion of too many SDGs, right? Can you please next? This is the team. We are 14 people. This next. Something really important of this of the team is that we have in order that this process, because Vivo Mi Calle for us is not just like a program or something that it works just to seeking a problem. Is a process to have a huge and so many things to take in account. So that is why we have to take to work with the people from the community. Leader community is part of the team, of the technical team, because we work in both directions, right? The technician, a group of people from the different files. Me is an administration and gender advisor. We have pedagogy. I don't know the name in English. The people who teach to the guys. And we have the participant advisor. We have the data. My partner, data in specialist, and I have communications, of course. And back we have some different POP. No, well, the papers. But this is important because we are communicating to the neighbors, and we have to show them in a way so they understand us, right? Like pictures, and they have to get socialized. But what we are going to do with their kids, because we are talking about working with a person. With boys, with childs, and it's important to have to take it in account because it has some policies and that things, and it's really important. That specific objectives of the program is healthy public spaces and roads. It's important this part because it's physical and spaces and active and social active, right? The importance of that is because what we show is a physical result, right? As a big the Puente de Colores is a really good, and it has life. But what is important is the changes, the social changes that it has then, right? Can we have the next, please? Well, this is a methodology, and it's crucial to put this is taking in account that the first time we have this thing with the child. In the beginning, they just have like we sit with them, and they just mapping where the risks are in their neighbor, because young people, as they talking about the important in the last panels, they talking about what is important in local actions. The young people thinking in neighbor actions, right? And it's a kind of a scale, and you in the life cycle, you are the important thing, and the big of the city that you're looking is what you're seeing. And when you are young, your scale is your neighbor, and you have the limits of the scale of your country is your neighbor, because you know it most of the time. Okay, then when you have, please, can you go back? Thank you. Then when we geocode the data, we just show them like on a map, and they told us, okay, we have this identification, the risk. We have taking account the gender approach, because sometimes they get like very eager about talking about soccer, and and the girls too, yes, but it's a social thing because they just what they had is just a soccer field. So and the girls doesn't know anything about not doesn't anything doesn't know anything. The girls have another options, right? And they show in the way they play the girls and as dancing, like women in Cali, like really good, and they are really good at dancing, and they are well known as dance, right? And that's why a result of one of the spaces on the outdoors room, outdoors classroom, it's called Aula Vivo en Calle, is my name, but it has four blocks. Yes. This is the Aula Vivo en Calle, and this is the floor for dance and the girls. And it's a equity space, so, split in four different functions that the girls and the boys told us and co-create with us. Another of the methodology, other step is the allies. Allies is really important to have the sustainability of the project. The mayor of Cali has worked with the secretaries is specific about sustainability. We call them Dagma. Is about is in charge of the biodiversity of the city, which is a topic that the adolescents taking really in account. Then we have a really good, a really big problem that they like to, that they are really interested about, and is mobility. Mobility because they always, or most of the time, they walk because they are in a neighbor's a neighbor scale. So what they found as a risk is a high traffic, yes, and they found borders. They have in their own neighbors they found borders that they didn't that don't let them enjoy the neighbor they want. So we have this in Palmira, is another city so close to Cali. The bike path is a really a 1.5 meters linear meters of bike path, and is completely segregated to protect them from the high speed drivers and motorcycles. Okay, can you go forward? Oh, okay. And okay, one thing that is important for us is one city or one place who is thinking on young people is thinking for everybody, because when they feel safe, another people from different ages, so from different ways to live, to inhabit the place, feel safe, feels with equity and thinking about it, because they are the more vulnerable in cities, because we don't thinking of them, and they don't have this places to take in account their voice. And a big objective of, and the main thing, because I believe is a more important one for this project, is that they have the opportunity to get amplified in their voices. We have a really successful achievement of the program is the leadership program. The leadership program have 40 graduated young leaders that has been training the youngest in the neighbors, and they make, like, they get involved in thinking on their cities as their responsibility too. Some of the numbers of the results of Vivo Mi Calle is 3,443 adolescents have been participating in this program during 3 years. The training and events, the training and events has been 445 44 people. We seeking to be a pair, women and boys, girls and boys. Physical intervention to 80,268. And well, all the numbers there speak by themselves. Can you go, please, next? Well, some important for taking in account as the challenges is and working in these places like Latin America with vulnerable people in neighbors that have so many lacks of opportunity is that they have a changing problems and issues, right? That has too much that it is worse. We have this in May 2021. We have a social unrest, and it was really bad for the city, for the entire city, but it was worse for the zone where we're working. But as a social program, we have to take in account that that changes that brings for the first that was eating was another things that have been first. Yes. So that was some challenges that we found. Gaps between desktops assessment and reality needs to adapt. The social programs have to adapt to the reality of them. And the difficult of the context affects even the smallest event. Okay, some opportunities. The intervention go beyond physical transformations, community cohesion, including through cooking and sharing, negotiation and gangs and drug users, best practice to share with other cities, healthy activation go beyond physical activity, fixing broken relationship. This is a great history about that because the place where we work is usually have a gangs problems like and the mothers doesn't talk to the ones because they have problems with the biggest childs. So in the program, the Vivo Mi Calle, they get together and they get partnered again because of the youngest. So that's a really good history and something that makes me really happy about because it closed the sounds and it with the spaces and with the activations with the young people get together again and like make the peace again in that place. Establishing alliance that ensures sustainability, developing leadership skills. A really good history too is the last show that they were like 3 months working in a theater group and they have a show and then the raga team there was the girls who like to dance they just they go to the classes every Tuesdays and when they present the ones who have the master of ceremony was the young boys and the young girls. It was amazing. And when they started the leadership program, they don't have the empowerment to do themselves. So it was great. Vivo Mi Calle as a communication channel with local and national government. This is a really important opportunity because we were working with a lot of secretaries of Cali, and they include some of the risks that the child give to us to transmit to them, and they get taken in account. I'm going to stop there. I'm talking a lot, and I'm going to talk about a really good opportunity that they have when the forum of Young 2030 cities goes there, and they were really excited about it, and they have some messages to you. They found five problems to talking about in Cali, specifically, like gender equity related to sexual harassment. In Colombia, the people who do that isn't breaking the law, so it's a really big problem since the structure. We have urban development and pedestrians and road safety. We have we as a young believe that a youth governance is have to be more or increasingly economic growth and employment options and entrepreneurship have to be a priority, and urban expansion and environment has to be a topic that the governments has to take responsibility. It's necessary to strengthen links and alliance between all the parts of the society, because caring about the environment and caring about everything that's have to be to the healthy cities, we live in this planet, right? So all the people have to take the responsibility. So what the young people in this statement wants you to know is create healthy, sustainable, clean, and safe public spaces is a priority for everybody. We will learn to recognize and respect the rules and engagement of dialogue places, because public spaces is a place that everybody has to share, and it has to be democratized. We understand that governance and advocacy is important for young people and their dreams. We declare that the governments should be more open to young people's views. We reaffirm that our young actions and statements show our ability, and it's important to take it in account. It's not just we have to be in that places where they're taking decisions, because they don't think, or they don't remember, because they were young. They don't remember how it's important to have a place to play, a place to stay with your friends, a place to be safe and feel comfortable. When you don't have the possibility in your house, when you live in a places that you don't have services, you have the place out, and it has to be safe and healthy. We recognize the communication between neighborhoods and institutions is essential to influence our young people to create support and networks. Young people commit to be active for our future and ideas. We face the limits to be learn, listen. We face the limits to be heard, and learn how to listen and discuss. We think that the local government must protect young people, improve quality of life, and give young people support with tools to be able to make a
better public space to live together, to provide training to be able to have more employment opportunities, to provide education opportunities, to create scholarship and educations and or entrepreneurship, educate drivers and road safety, improve traffic lights and add more traffic signals, listen to the community to improve pedestrian quality of life, raise awareness among people about contamination and rainwaters, channels, and other public spaces, create conversation spaces to encourage citizen participation where all young people have a voice and vote, and allocate more green spaces in neighborhoods. To the national government, they must support young people opinions to have an adequate present and future. Create education against driving under alcohol influence, to reduce corruption and consider people's opinion, to look for natural alternatives to not cut down our forests and use more solar energy, and finance sustainable public policies. To the United Nations, to most help create pedestrians and road and urban development safety network, to provide workshops on environmental care, to help young people to be heard. And intergovernmental organizations should improve public spaces, to provide information and make surveys to collect data and help the governments to do that, to give more financial support to improve road, pedestrians, and urban safety, and fund programs seeking a better environment. Yes, that's.
Thank you so much. Again, there's copies of the DeclarACTIONS on the back. There's the QR codes and such. So as we're coming to our last presentation, as we said, we've had a lot of young people who have, two young people here who helped put on the Youth 2030, but one of the other things that we're trying to do is bring young people who are examples of the amazing work they can do, but also do some best practices. When we're doing some deeper dives into what are best practices, one of the agencies that came up was Unfpa and some of the amazing work they're doing in Ghana. So I'd like to pass it over to Nana, and she can go and I think there's a video, right? Is there a video teed up? Okay, do a video first. Okay, speak and then.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can I get some energy?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so my colleagues have spoken intensively on the Youth 2030 cities and some challenges that they faced and found in their DeclarACTIONS. But my speech today will highlight issues on urbanization in Ghana and how the youth are localizing SDGs, how we are coming up with innovative ideas and solutions to localize SDGs in Ghana. So let's get right into it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the beautiful Black Star of Africa, Ghana. My name is Nana Sigwa Idwafulejari. I am a Youth Leaders Fellow with the United Nations Population Fund in Ghana. Now, UNFPA is the UN Sexual Reproductive Health Agency with a mission to deliver a world where every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. I would like to place emphasis on that. Every young person's potential is fulfilled. It is indeed humbling to mount the stage with all of you distinguished speakers as I present many of the young people in Ghana's perspectives on urbanization. The conversation on the matter of urbanization is a critical one indeed. At this point in our existence, given the many opportunities and challenges that it presents, especially to young people. As a consequence of urbanization, many young people, especially girls and young women, have had access to higher and quality education, improved quality of life, but progressively challenging housing and sanitation situations for many in poor urban communities. So indeed, urbanization is not entirely a bad thing. People have moved from the rural areas into the urban cities, and they have actually gotten access to urban services such as education and somehow better sanitation, but there's still a problem. So between 1990 and 2015, Ghana's population equation reversed from a ratio of 36% to 64% urban rural living to 54 to 46% respectively, according to a 2015 UNICEF and WHO publication. So here you can tell that within a space of just about 25 years, the percentage of people that lived in the rural areas as compared to that of the urban areas has shot up by a huge percentage because everybody is seeking greener pastures. So this resulted in the expansion of existing slums and creation of new ones with pressures on demand for basic sanitation services. Urban citizens are also often faced with challenges such as poor sanitation and insufficient transportation infrastructure. The roads are terrible sometimes, which is worsened by climate change vulnerabilities, leading to increased risk of flooding and lack of access to clean potable water. We, the young people of Ghana, we therefore came together at the Youth 2030 Cities Forum and issued the DeclarACTIONS statement, demanding action by sustainable urbanization while committing ourselves to behavior change and actions to live more sustainably. So we did realize that the problem is not just with the government, but it's with us youth as well, because some of our behaviors don't allow us to see sustainable development in the country. As young people, we have been at the forefront in terms of driving innovation in areas like health, education, environmental sustainability, entrepreneurship, climate action, and sustainable development, simply in our bid to create the world that we want. A good example is the brilliant innovation by two students from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, who have made sanitary pads out of the stems of plantain trees. So out of trees, plantain trees, they some way, somehow have made sanitary towels that girls from the rural areas can use. The government of Ghana did notice their innovation and awarded them grants to scale up this amazing initiative. This solution is not just going to address the urgent need for vulnerable and poor girls to have access to affordable sanitary pads, but will also create employment opportunities for other young people and help reduce plastic use, thus achieving SDGs 3 and 12. Likewise, Macintosh Africa is a social enterprise owned by a young Ghanaian. She makes footwear, rubbish bins, baskets, and the likes out of plastic waste. These innovations by young people have made significant contributions towards achieving environmental sustainability in line with the SDG goals 11 and 13. There are quite a lot more young people who would join in this fight to realize the SDGs if they had opportunities to ideate, to design and co-create solutions to address societal challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, while these and many other enterprising young Ghanaian youth are using their innovative and imaginative capacities to solve many of our environmental problems and creating employment opportunities, we remain faced with a far greater challenge with the sheer growth of the country's adolescent and youth population. Ghana, like many other African countries, is at the crossroads of history by ensuring the right investments are made to attain demographic dividend. This is why it is important to emphasize the critical role of their sexual reproductive health and rights in the realization of Agenda 2030 and Youth 2030. We can't do everything if the place is overpopulated and there are not enough resources to feed everybody, enough resources to provide proper sanitation for everybody. So indeed, SRHR has to come and play a part in making sure that the population is regulated. When people, especially the youth, are not empowered to understand and make informed, responsible, and healthy choices concerning their sexual and reproductive health, the aspirations of a sustainably developed country and world will remain a mirage, and everyone everywhere will experience the crippling effects on their lives. For instance, investments into sustainable cities and communities, urban development, modernized drainage and waste management systems, and even robust transportation infrastructure would be rendered obsolete if the human capital needed to maintain and benefit from these investments are left to engage in risky sexual behaviors. We are already we already see these ramifications on many of our streets, hospitals, homes, and other shelters. Overpopulation, increased pressure on social amenities, creation of more slums, poor sanitary practices, and hike in crime and social vices, to mention but a few, will make our urban communities uninhabitable by the few of us who are able to afford the beautiful luxuries of life. Friends, I stand here as a testimony to what young people can achieve when they are empowered and supported to consciously choose to think and act as global citizens. We become solutions when we get connected to opportunities for learning and growth. One such opportunity is the UNFPA Ghana Youth Leaders Fellowship Program, which is summed up in this video. Taylor, could you help me?
Yes, ma'am. Corinne. Corinne. Can you help us?
So, yeah. One more. Got the right one, that's good. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Not that one. He left. No. Yeah, let's just trace it. That one goes to this one, that one goes to this one, and that one goes to this one. It's just same guy, right? Yeah. Okay. It's this one, but it's. Can we turn the mics down?
It's also an opportunity for me to enable myself
For us, yours. First of all, it's been amazing to see this. Welcome to Nana Atawa. I'm also here with a Ghanaian hat, with several hats actually, but now that I'm speaking, I'm here as a co-founder of Center for Sustainable Transformation, who runs the Young Reporter for Environment program that we have seen in the film and that was facilitating the Ghanaian chapter. And as the name says, we are training young people, or actually they are running the programs themselves in reporting, in writing, communication. We have a wire TV, they are on radio shows and so on to get messages out. And we have heard a lot today about the government need to do this, the local government need to do that. But we actually experience that it is the young people that very often set the agenda. We have had some amazing mayors here today, but we also have a lot of sleeping politicians around. And many in a generation that doesn't know how to solve the issues of today, who hasn't heard of or doesn't have the knowledge of how to approach climate change, for example. So our experience is that through YRE, we have actually been able to put several issues on the agenda that are now being discussed politically and are actually also being met politically. Because in countries like Ghana, and I'm sure other countries on the African continent and South America as well, and everywhere, you have to have a critical mass of people that are actually asking the right questions to the politicians to make them accountable. And so I would like to ask those of you who have been part of the program, because we have heard several things that are amazing that we can pick up on. We have heard that compendium is coming up with the best practices. Well, how do you think that we can move on from just reading about other organizations' best practices to implement them as part of our own? Because like in our case, we feel that we answer many of the questions that you were raising, or you are doing amazing things that our young people have not come to yet. So I think we should be proactive, not just look at a companion, but actually learn from each other and move on together. But I would like to hear from you what you think around that, since you've been part of it. One question.
In the case of my home away from home, we have created a toolbox, especially for the methodology from my home away from home. So we start all the process of attention through social work. We start through social work, and then we identify the needs for migrant and refugees or Ecuadorian LGBTQ people. After that, if we are capable, we analyze these cases and we create a representation inside the organization to the lawyer, for example, if the person needs maybe support with regularization, with visas, or maybe the person has lived an action of discrimination. That way, for example, we also create some connection with the public sector. For example, with the the Minister of Human Mobility, the Minister of Health, the Minister of this institution in order to refer these cases. Also, for example, we have if after join us the social work program, we identified that the person needs maybe psychological assistance. We create our program based in affirmative therapy, that is also not to pathologize again what it means to be a homosexual person, a lesbian sexual, a bisexual, a transgender person. So yeah, we try to be a safe space. We are a safe space for LGBTQ community. And if not, if we are not capable of if we don't have the resources, also we refer the person to another safe place. And that works also with the medical assistants. Also, we have doctors that are trained in order to treat LGBTQ people, because even though we can say that we are the LGBTQ community, we all have difference. It's not the same, for example, for a gay man or for a lesbian woman in my case, for example, or how you treat to a transgender person. So we have this specific also we have these specific things in the LGBTQ community. And well, we have these tool books, we have the methodology, and I think that it could work, and maybe just to adapt to the context to other countries, maybe it could work perfectly. I think so.
I'm going to be for childs or for adolescents in Colombia, in Cali specific. We found that to ally as Secretary of Education, and their commitment to this program was the success of part of the leadership program, because they found we have in Colombia a mandatory social services that we have to fulfill for the graduation in the middle school, the school, and they found a way to have the hours for give them for the community, and in behalf of these transformation spaces to do the logistic things, and they found a topic that they like, and they wants to fight for, like gender. We have the gender team, we have the environmental team, and they found a way, like a topic that they like the most. We don't put you have to like this thing. No, they choose, and they is more motivating to achieve some goals if you are more like you like them more.
Also, Vice Minister, I don't know if you want to say a few things on young people or you go. Okay, great. Got another question.
I just had a question about you were talking about a sanitation program or sanitation pad program in Ghana, and there was a similar one done in Kenya, but it wasn't picked up by the government. You said that one was picked up by the government. Yeah, I wanted to just know how that went and how just how that went about.
Okay, so in Ghana, it's actually one of the biggest issues that we face. We term it padding the gills. Padding the gills, giving girls access to pads, and free pads, or even trying to get pads to have reduced taxes so that the cost is even lower for the regular ordinary girls to be able to afford it. So these two students thought through it and then came up with this innovation, which they put on social media. So through social media, this innovation, I think it was on Twitter, and it kept getting likes, retweets, and eventually it got to one of our high level members in politics, and they took it up, and with further conversations with them, getting to know how I don't really know the details, but they got to know how they went about it and realized it was a good initiative that could really save a lot of girls in Ghana. So they gave them some grants, and then they are using it to scale up their projects as of now. So I guess maybe in Kenya they can use social media as it's a powerful tool, so maybe they can adopt this as well. Thank you.
Great. So again, great examples, and I think the idea, one of the key components of Youth 2030 is peer-to-peer. It's not expert to peer. And what we see, like within the UNFPA program and so on, is the creation of that space to allow the peer-to-peer to happen, whether it be the LGBT community, whether it be Makaye, and so on. So, do we have any other questions? So, let me give you the way forward of tonight. What we're thinking of is that we're going to, is everyone can stay here, because if everyone leaves, everyone will leave. We have the kind of the hors d'oeuvres and all that thing for the cocktail. If you could grab a chair, move the chair to the side. Then what we do is we have a few short presentations. We just received, 2 minutes ago, a really quick, some testimonials from the young people from Otavalo. So we'd like to show that. I'd really like Shamoy to do a quick presentation with her funky video of the scorecard, because tomorrow is a scorecard training. I think, is Ali still here?
Yes, it should be somewhere.
Yeah. So if you want to meet Ali, we're working with AFS. It's an amazing exchange program that's run out of here, about 100 years old. And we're doing a training tomorrow, which upwards of 15, 20 people. So that are going to come, and that's going to be this kind of really deep dive SDG city scorecard training, which is what we're trying to do. Again, everything we're trying to do is walk our talk. It's not always perfect, but it works. And I think what you've seen today and kind of encapsulating it, and for some of you might have been here at the beginning, I mean, the exhibition, which is the last part, which you'll see here, the exhibition has been up all day. So we've had over 300 people go through here. We've had over 1,000 people online, most of them government leaders, high civil society, and so on. That's really what we want to do is create those things. So we had, when Sophie was meeting with the Minister of Urbanization, we're meeting with the Mayor of Quito, exchanging the declaration, making those links. This is what the UN can do. This is kind of the raison d'etre of what we do, is we convene. We should convene and then oftentimes just get out of the way. So I mean, this is a space of convening, which allows local government to speak to national government and so on. Trying also to make it not an elite space, which is oftentimes what can happen. So this is really what we're doing. And so this cocktail is part of that process. There's other people who will be coming throughout the next couple hours to the cocktail. You don't have to stay here the whole time. What we're going to do is just intersperse it with some really interesting things, some funky videos. You can meet, like as Hilda says, she's really working with young reporters, which is also part of the Fridays for Future program in Ghana, which is insanely big and really cool. We can learn more about Ecuador. We can also, and unfortunately, because of time and COVID and all these things, we weren't able to bring anyone from Senegal, but you can learn more about what we're doing in Senegal. And then also to note that we're just wrapping this program. We still have India and Vietnam to do, which will happen. India's happening this week, Vietnam's next week. And when I'm saying this happening is we have this whole process of engagement where young people are engaged initially through surveys, then through focus groups, then these larger events that we've had 5 of now, these youth forums. So, and then to the end, the DeclarACTIONS, the compendium. We also there's also a community of practice that we're creating. So there's lots of different pieces that you can ask people about. So unless there's any burning questions or any whatever, it's been a long, many of us been here almost 14 hours through the whole day. Again, tons of great stuff happening. So if you want to, I'd ask, this is a collective thing. I mean, also the place is a mess, actually. If we can all take a chair and move it to the side, then we'll have the, go ahead. Oh, right, and then we'll have the cocktail. But what I'd like to do last is kind of the closing of this part of moving into the cocktail is to have Susanna Hausman, who works program director for. I'm really kind of losing it. Can you have to fall over?
Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much, and I think it has been a great pleasure, especially also hearing from the young people the stories. Congratulations, we like the stories from the Youth 2030 cities. I'm Susanna Hausmann from Fondation Bodnar, and I'm responsible for the cities engagement projects in all over the world, and many of those we have heard actually are from the Healthy Cities for Adolescents, which really where we really started the 2030 Youth 2030 together with UN Habitat. And I think, and we have heard it, speaking up is certainly important. Speaking up, young people who have the space to speak up, young people also who have the evidence to being able to speak up. And that's one of the possibilities of having this scorecard developed, to have meaningful information gathering together, peer-to-peer, as Doug said, also bringing together all this information so that the young people have the spaces to speak up. But it's not only speaking up, and I think we have heard a couple of examples, and we have also heard from Hilda, is your name? The listening up. Listening up is something which is really starts maybe, but I think authorities, mayors still are not so good. There is a little bit of a break between the speaking up of the young people, the spaces of the young people, and then the willingness, the openness of many of the authorities. And we have heard from Sofia from Otavalo that you actually managed to bring one of the mayors to really also sign, and this is of Pito. And this, I think, is something which is really the way forward. So it's speaking up, listening up, and then, of course, at the end, acting, and acting is together, the young people and the governments. And with this, I would really really encourage to continue these talks and to continue these activities, especially the scorecard, where I think there is a lot of possibilities of bringing that evidence into the meaningful evidence in order to bring it to the spaces, to speak up, but also make or invite authorities to actually listen and then act together. So with this, I thank you very much for listening to this, listening up, speaking up, and hopefully acting up together. At least now for the cocktail, I think there is a lot of possibility to still interact. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Fondation Bodnar. Thank you to Susanna Gioiatti, longtime person who I've worked with for many years, and really exciting to see this. I also just want to kind of do a quick, just before we kind of clean up our room. And Vivo Makai does this in an amazing way, keeping their space clean. But anyways, before we do that, I just wanted to thank a lot of different people here. Again, we have Create 2030, Jeremy and Richard is somewhere here. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the UN Habitat team. There's many of them online. So Taylor, who's done an amazing job in putting this together, big round of applause. Shamoy, who has also put tons of time into the scorecard and that happening. This is amazing. As well, we have a whole team back in Nairobi. We would have loved to have flown them all here, but Simon and Sion and give me names, Olga and the many who are all the social media. If you watch our social media feed, is exploding. So that's also really great. And then, I mean, I missed anybody. Oh, and I thank you so much to the catering staff and the people here who've done a great job. Also, if you've seen the beautiful posters and stuff, and also the multi-use, if you've been here in the morning and been here now, the multi-use exhibitions thing, which was an exhibition before, and then it became a whole new exhibition. That's amazing, and that's Karoon. He is our amazing design guy, so big thanks to everyone. The last, and absolutely not least, and absolutely first, is just the groups we're working with. it's inspiring. I was so honored to be able to travel once or twice during the pandemic to meet with the group. So meeting with Viva Mikaye, meeting with Dialogo del Verso, meeting with Ghana and the youth reporters there, and they were amazing. And I'm looking forward to going to India, and I'm looking forward to going to Vietnam at some time too. I mean, and Otabalango, who we'll see, have sent us a video message. So again, those are all. It really is. It's what we were just in Switzerland with Butler Foundation and all their amazing projects, and really what I'm coining here is participation 2.0. That we're really moving beyond just, isn't that great for young people? Oh, aren't they becoming developed better and so on? This is really saying young people can step up, and I think you said step in to the new role that they can play in governance. I think we have to get beyond the fact that young people are just people in waiting or citizens in waiting. They're actually citizens now, and we know we could run through the demographics, especially if we're looking at Africa and such, but also Latin America and some parts of Asia, where we're looking at massive percentage, like 70+% of the population being young. If you don't engage them, it doesn't work. We know that, but we know that there's ways to make it work. So that's really where so big thanks again to all the youth groups again, the young people mentioned here and their long travels here, and other groups. And big round of applause for them too. So again, yes, this is the clean up your room phase. I have 2 children, one who's now getting married, by the way. Still on shock on that. But anyways, if we could just move the chairs to the side, stack them. You will also, when you move the chairs, see lovely little gifts left behind because people left their paper cups. And then we can move those. So we can kind of clean the place up really quick, and then we can have our amazing catering staff come through. And then the first up will be Shamoy, who will do a quick presentation. Then we have a local Alango, and then another.
So shall we still let it running? Shamoy will present. Shall I leave the stream running?
Yeah, stream running. Why not?
Bacon tenderloin. You didn't take one? Come here. You're going to be okay. No, that's fine. Just pause it. Oh my goodness.
My name's David. So David.
Yes, I've been hearing your name
Yeah.
all the time.
I've been hearing your name all the time as well.
Okay.
And I recognize you from most Habitat events. I think that anything that's important. Yeah. So, what you are, like I know you're a youth championed that you've voiced within Botna or within?
So Botna has got huge, large programs that they are funding. Their first program is this Healthy Cities program, which is in 5 different countries. Large. I'm the director of the program. I launched it. I worked with them to come up with a strategy and all, and that's progressing. It's going to become double the size.
Healthy cities, yeah.
Healthy cities for young people.
For young people,
and
okay.
then within that, we launched voice and participation and urban governance, which is by 2030. Within that, we're also looking at evidence building and young people as evidence builders. So there's a lot of there's a lot going on there.
That's great. That's great. So does the work that Shamoy is doing on the that's linkage?
Completely.
That's really great. We're also working with Shamoy. We launched the global urban monitoring framework. So we're using similar thing of just mapping what's there, so you can go around with global toolbox and other thing and just saying, public space, okay, here it is. We can on the map do a circumference around it. This is how many people have walking distance to a public space. Addition of it, the streets, so the lighting on the streets, and where are the schools and where are the not schools. So from that we generate like a physical map of where things are. And I think that then you can see the complementarity between the feelings. I don't feel safe here, but maybe there's no street lights. Do you know what I mean? And it just
Senegal program is also using the COBO tool. All of them are looking at it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's been it's nice to see this is the first phase one. Nice to conclude that with this high of participation, everyone getting together.
No, absolutely. So, and I kind of see that everything is somehow much more linked together than it was before. Do you know what I mean? Like health and planning and youth, everything is. And I think now at last Habitat is having a bit more of a culture of getting rid of silence. So seeing, there's opportunity, there's opportunity. So anyway, I'll leave you. Nice to meet you.
They said that they weren't not at all.
You've been so busy looking up to
Am I gonna have to do that? Oh, really? I didn't read that. Okay. I already got it. I think it's
well, I'll take a picture.
I gotta get a second camera. I'm thinking like maybe an A6 or something. Yeah. And like your
So like, this is what I got. Then with gotta get one. Yeah. I got to do more. It's nice.
I'm excited to try to go to I think it's on Monday.
I wasn't,
Hello, everyone. So everyone, if you want to listen, because it'll be valuable to you, as part of, there's two things going on. One of the things you'll see a presentation, not a presentation, or a video from Shamoy. No, she's not presenting. But also we're going to have a presentation from Otavalo. They really, really wanted to be here. And as part of their gift to you, there's Otavalanian bags. They were woven specifically from Otavalo, brought up by Taylor, the Otavalo mule. Okay, I wouldn't use the word, but let you. So anyways, please take a bag. This is also for the diehards that stuck around. So yeah, please take a bag, and I've got some more. And we also have some other kind of stuff that's come from some of the other communities. We have some recycled stuff donated by a women's group in Kenya and so on. So please don't leave empty-handed. It's all environmentally sound and people friendly. So I don't know when Shamoy when you want to. I don't know when you want to.
We have two videos, so we can put one.
He was here.
Okay. We're gonna use that. Yeah,
Oh, sure. Great job.
or we are creating this tool called the SDG Scorecard, which actually connects young people, youth organizations to local government so that they're able to contribute to the monitoring of the SDGs by allowing young people to measure their impact aligned to the SDGs. And we believe that that's a very powerful way for young people to truly make a difference, not just being able to say, oh, I've created this project and I've done this activity, but how does it really contribute to the SDGs? And we've done that by creating this tool that actually allows them to track and measure their impact in real time. The technology will allow them for their data to be clean and analyzed, and for this to go directly to government. Another thing that the scorecard will do is that it will give young people an opportunity to get their projects endorsed by the government. And so it's not just doing your project alone, but you're doing your project in an ecosystem that's supported by government officials and also supported by other city leaders. There's also an aspect of the scorecard that I really like, and it's called Know My City. It's a perception-based data collection process that allows young people, any age, whether you're an adolescent or you're an older young person, to actually say what you feel about your city directly related to the SDGs. So for example, a young woman in Ghana can say, this is how I feel about public transportation in my city. I feel that it's not safe. Now imagine if you have the data showing that 95% of young girls in Accra, for example, do not feel safe when they're on public transportation. Imagine what that big perception data can mean for policymakers. And also imagine what voice it will give young people on the ground to say, this is how I feel about my city. And this is how I think, working with the government, we can actually collaborate to co-create solutions. And so this is the tool that we're creating, but we're not doing it on our own as UN Habitat. We're doing it through a co-designing process where we engage the actual users, so actual young people, actual local governments who will use the tool. They are the ones who will decide how this tool will function and what the features are. And so this is the beginning of this tool, and tomorrow we've been doing quite a number of offline, online design workshops. Tomorrow we will have another one at 5 Hanover Square at the AFS office. If anyone is interested in attending, that would be great. Because we really want to design something that's for young people, by young people, for local governments, by local governments. So without further ado, here is one of the videos kind of explaining more about the SDG scorecard, and then we'll play another one that actually shows how it works. Thank you very much.